Shalom, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Barasham, Yahushai, Barasham, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, pushing this 100% truth of the gospel, waking up and sealing the elect of the nation of Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Barasham, Yahushai. And salutations to all you sincere Akim that are pushing this gospel in all righteousness and in all sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. Alright, this is your brother Abawan coming back at you with another video, and I just wanted to play a snippet of this video. Lord willing, it doesn't come on me with any copyright thing, because let me just put this disclaimer, okay? In accordance with the Copyright Act, YouTube's Copyright Act, okay, this video is made for educational purposes only. Alright, I'm not profiting from this video in any way. So let me just play this a little bit, okay? This is going into the fall of the Roman Empire, asking the question, will America fall like Rome? And it's funny because a lot of people are starting to notice that there are some parallels, or there are some similarities between Babylon, which is America, and Rome. So now people are wondering, will America fall like Rome? And why is Rome being used? Okay, why not Babylon? Why not Medo-Persia? Why not any other ancient kingdom? Why not Albion? Why not even Great Britain that exists? The empire that existed just before Babylon. Okay, why is Rome being used? Why not even the Grecian Empire? Why is Rome being used? Why is everybody his attention going to Rome? Because like we teach here at Great Millstone, that the Roman Empire is just that Babylon, America, and all these other Edomite nations, they're just a continuation of the Roman Empire, the revised Roman Empire. So now it's going to, this is just them answering our question: do they believe that Babylon will fall like Rome? Which of course, these Edomites, they can never speak the truth. Okay, they have to lie and add their own little thing. But that's not what we're focused on. There's actually a statement that this individual made. All right, that's what I'm actually focused on. So let me play it.
If we make Romans of these barbarians, can we withhold Roman citizenship from them? No.
There are many theories of what went wrong.
There's corruption, there's slavery, there's overextension.
You obeyed the elephant's charge, draw the legions up in column.
The simplest theory involves a string of military losses that chipped away at its borders. Finally, a barbarian defeated the last emperor to rule from Italy. Historians consider this the end of the Western Roman Empire, the part that tends to get all the attention.
After the fall, you have the bubonic plague, you have the Dark Ages, and then eventually you come to the Renaissance.
I don't know if you actually caught that, so let me just go back and play it, just in case you didn't catch that. So let me go back and play it.
After the fall, you have the bubonic plague, you have the Dark Ages, and then eventually you come to the Renaissance.
Alright, did you see that? This guy, he was talking about the fall of the Roman Empire, and he just completely glossed past the Dark Ages, okay? He completely, just jumped over it, and that's something that I've been noticing a lot of Edomite historians doing. They're completely ignoring the history that was involved in the Dark Ages, and then even more so, look at his expression when he talks about. Look at his expression when he jumps from the Dark Ages to the Roman Empire. Let me go back to that.
After the fall, you have the bubonic plague, you have the Dark Ages,
and then now just focus on his expression. Let me expand the video so I can actually focus on it. Okay, that's okay. Just okay, let me try this. All right, just focus on his expression.
And eventually you come to the Renaissance.
You see that these because Esau knew who was in rulership during that time, and it was Jake. Okay, that's why you never hear about you never hear much talk about the Dark Ages, about what happened during that period. Okay, you never hear any talk about the Byzantium. All right, so I forgotten some of the names of this place, the Carthaginian Empire. All right, never hear any talk about the about Carthage, Hannibal, which of course, Esau already admitted that that Hannibal was a Jake. Okay, you never hear any talk about all these empires that got built up, right? Like for example, the French Empire being ruled under Charlemagne. You never hear anything about all this because those are Jakes that were in rulership. Okay, and Esau just loves to gloss over the Dark Ages. So if you ask him about the Dark Ages, just say that there wasn't anything going on during that time. Wait a minute. Then where did Albion come from? Where did places like France come from? Wales, France, Wales, um, England, Scotland, all these other nations, that they were built during the Dark Ages. But Esau will tell you that no, there wasn't anything going on during that time. And that's because Esau wasn't in rulership. Okay, when he talks about what was going on during the Dark Ages, he's talking about talking about himself. Okay, and now let me get a precept to explain to you what was going on during what Esau was doing during the time. What Esau was doing during the time of the Dark Ages. So this is the book of Job 30, and I'll start from verse. Yeah, I'll start from verse 3. Job 30 verse 3. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Who cut up mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. Alright, and this is speaking about Esau Edom during the time of the Dark Ages, when Jake came into rulership, and we basically kicked these devils out of rulership, and majority of them went into the Caucasus Mountains. That's why you have them being called Caucasians today. And what Caucasus means, okay, it doesn't mean fake Asian like that. I'm just trying to tell you, it means cave dwellers, okay, Caucasian cave dwellers, because because they were living in, and I believe that was in Georgia, Russia, right, the Caucasus Mountains, okay, which was where they spent the duration of which was where they spent the duration of the Dark Ages, okay. And now you see that and we already know that Esau, he loves to hide history, okay. First, first and foremost, talking about, first and foremost, he completely disrupted, he completely obscured the whole of human history. Talking about, the Earth is the Earth is what, 6 to 7 billion years old. Talking about how humanity has existed for over 300,000 years. And these are the kind of things that he loves to do. He likes to, because he doesn't want people to know, real human history, which is basically what's written of in the scriptures. Alright, then talks about how, who the Israelites are, which of course is a huge part of prophecy, and a huge part of our people understanding who they are and coming back into that power. Alright, so that's what Esau has done. He has changed he has changed history. Alright, he has made and I shouldn't be using that word history, but basically has changed, right, the events of the past and called it history, because there's an old saying, that history just lies agreed upon, and this is exactly what happened with this is exactly what being in this truth proves, because now you know exactly what happened in true history. I think that's the exact reason why he decided to hide the fact that during the Dark Ages Jake was in rulership, because Esau can't tell you nothing about what happened in the Dark Ages, okay. He'll give you a few ideas, he'll give you a few stories, but the major thing, he won't be able to tell you anything about it, because he knows, as he wasn't in rulership during that time, okay. The time of rulership was controlled by Jakes, okay. And of course we already know that the Moors were Jake, but not just the Moors, the kings of Europe as well. Like I mentioned, the Carolingian Empire, the Byzantine Empire, okay. The kings that were ruling in England, in France, in Ireland at that time, they were all Israelites, okay. Even the original Germans, the Gauls, the Vikings, okay, they were all Israelites. There was a time where Europe was completely dark, with a few Edomites being passed around as slaves, okay. But what the main focus of this video is just talk about during that period, the Dark Ages. So I have an article here from Britannica, just a brief overview of the Dark Ages, because I don't really want to go too deep into it, okay. So this is a brief treatment of the Middle Ages. Alright, so now this Middle Ages is the same period as the Dark Ages, because what Esau loves to do, he loves his semantics. He tell you that the Dark Ages is I believe it was 300 BC to 500 BC. Just a brief period, after the fall of the Roman Empire. Then the remainder of that period was the Middle Ages, which is from 500 BC to roughly a little bit after the Renaissance period, right? Which is basically going through the whole period in which Jake was in authority. And of course, we already know through history that there were some Israelite emperors. Okay, I believe it started from Nerva. All right, the time that Rome was being ruled by Jake. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it started from Nerva, because Nerva was a part of the Aurelius family. All right. So now this is the article. The term and its conventional meaning were introduced by Italian humanists with invidious intent. And so, okay, you have to allow me to look up that word invidious, okay? Because now, let me get that. Invidious. And I've actually already gone into this before. Causing ill will, envy, or offense. Offensively or unfairly discriminating. Envious, jealous, detestable, hateful, or odious. And what were they hateful of? Why did the reason why, and what reason do these Edomite scholars, because that's exactly what, so I say Edomite humanists, because now if you go into the word humanist, you see that it's something that it's basically an Edomite philosophy, all right, and it reads: humanism, system of education and mode of inquiry that originated in northern Italy during the 13th and 14th century and later spread through continental Europe and England. The term is alternatively applied to a variety of Western beliefs, methods, and philosophies that place central emphasis on the human realm, also known as Renaissance humanism. The historical program was broadly and profoundly influential. That is one of the chief reasons why the Renaissance is viewed as a distinct historical period. Okay, indeed, though the word Renaissance is of more recent coinage, the fundamental idea of that period as one of renewal and reawakening is humanistic in origin. But humanism is not its own. So I did not really give a definition of humanism, just talk about it. So I did not give a definition of humanism. But basically, what it's going into is placing the individual, which is the human, the human aspect above the spiritual or religious aspect of a person. That's basically what humanism is going into. That's basically what humanism goes into. All right. I know that it was Easter that invented that, because that's when you start seeing atheism getting popularity. All right, and people start forsaking religious beliefs and dogma and the like. And that's another thing. Okay, that's another thing. The Catholic Church, that started to gain popularity and power during the Dark Ages. It was set up by Jake, okay, and it was Jake that and it was Jake basically was Jake that was in control of the Catholic Church during that time, before it fell, and during the Renaissance Esau now took control of it, with the most infamous Borgia family. Right now, continuing on from where I stopped. So, okay, let me see where I can get that. I think I jumped forward a little bit. Okay, no, I didn't. I can't. Okay. Okay, I skipped a part. So okay, I skipped a part. This is the from the top, and it reads: the Middle Ages is the period in European history from the fall of the Roman Empire, from the fall of the Roman civilization in the 5th century CE, to the period of Renaissance, variously interpreted as beginning in the 13th, 14th, or 15th century, depending on the region of Europe and other factors. All right. So now that's the introduction into the Middle Ages. Talking about basically talking about the complete era of the Dark Ages, and the reason why they call it Dark Ages is because that was a dark time in history for Esau, and of course because of the Jake that were ruling in that time, so they called it the Dark Ages. But now they've changed the name to the Middle Ages. But that's all beside the point. Okay. The humanists were, and I continue from where I stopped in the article. The humanists were engaged in a revival of classical learning, which of course, if I go into this word classical learning, and I've actually gone into this before when I did a video on the Renaissance. If I go into this word classical learning, to tell you that the classical learning that I'm speaking about was the literature, the philosophy of Rome, basically showing you, alright, that this modern civilization was built up, with the Roman, under the foundation of the Roman Empire, the dragon with the deadly wound that was healed. Alright, so this is the word here. Classical scholarship, the study in all its aspects of ancient Greece and Rome in continental Europe. The field is known as classical philology, or rather philology. I believe that word philology I believe that word philology is the study of I believe that word is the study of love. So okay, let me just quickly jump into the etym to see if I can get that. I believe it's the study of love. Okay, so I cannot feel that's study of love, the love of learning. Love of learning. Okay, that's what the word is. The love of learning. Right. Okay, so now let me go back to the article. I'm going to get the article, I'll get some scriptures and then we'll close out, okay, because there's a lot of things to go into. And if I had any of those books that talk that that have images or pictures of Jake in the Middle Ages, I would have brought them out, but the other Malcolm, you had a lot of them, and he always brings out those images. I can still probably just go on the YouTube and type in the Russian icons and see that if YouTube hasn't completely closed that, or completely censored that. But anyway, I continue. Classical learning and culture, and the notion of a 1,000-year period of darkness and ignorance. And I'm going to, you have to remember that and stretch that out, because that is going to be important in the future, right? This paragraph, right? Essentially, this snippet right here, and hold on, let me highlight it. Let me highlight it. This part that I highlighted, and the notion of a 1,000-year period of darkness and ignorance, that's actually a precept. Is it Revelation the 20th chapter? And I'm going to get that, of course. Separating them from the ancient Greek and Roman world serves to highlight the humanist's own work and ideals. It would seem unnecessary to observe that this is the end of it. Okay, there isn't much to go into again. It is Britannica, and the reason why I didn't get any more information on the Middle Ages is because I didn't want to go into all the empires that were ruling that time, because you see the pictures and you see the relics. They have already all been. I want to say they've already all been whitewashed. That's a better time to use than for me to say that they've been iconoclasm or something like that. But basically, they've already all been whitewashed, and they no longer have their original image or their original color, which would show or depict dark-skinned rulers or nobles during that time. But you still have a lot of relics in Europe, specifically in Russia, St. Petersburg, and places like that. That's why they call it the Russian icons, where you see. It depicts Jake, alright, or it depicts Israelites or so-called dark-fleshed people ruling during that time. So now let me get this precept, okay? Alright, so now let me get this precept. Revelation 20, I'll start from verse 1. Revelation 20, verse 1, and it reads, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season." And this is, of course, speaking of Esau Edom, because we always tell you, alright, that the devil that the Bible speaks of is Esau Edom. And there's a spiritual demon, there's a spiritual devil, which is, of course, Satan. But that devil is doing the work of the Most High. So the Most High has no reason to bind him up for 1,000 years or put him in chains or anything like that. But when it talks about the dragon, the old serpent, okay, that's giving you a clue right there about who Esau Edom really is. Because if we go into prophecy in the book of Daniel 7, the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, alright, the dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, that is Esau Edom's kingdom, okay, the representation of the beast, okay, that is the kingdom of Esau Edom, NATO and the EU, if you want to get it in more modern terms. But basically, that's speaking about Esau Edom and this rulership that we're currently living in right now. So Esau and his rulership, Esau and his kingdom was cast into a bottomless pit, thrown, for 1,000 years, and that 1,000 years is the period of the Dark Ages. All right. So if Esau wasn't really, ruling during that time, and this is all prophecy, of course, showing you that there will be 1,000 year period in which Esau Edom will not be in rulership, and during that period it was Jake that was in rulership. Once again, the reason why Esau Edom doesn't, the reason why Edomites and historians never speak about the Dark Ages, the reason why when they are talking about Rome and the fall of Rome and the period of Rome up till now, they completely skip the Dark Ages and then they jump into the Renaissance, and then from the Renaissance they jump into all the other kingdoms and empires that came after the Renaissance. Why do they always skip that period? Esau will tell you that because there was no technological advancement, there was nothing going on during that time. But that's a bold-faced lie, okay? Because the reason why they skip it is because it was being ruled by Jake, okay? Because them as a people, Esau as a people came, their rulership, their innovation, everything came to a complete halt because they were cast into that bottomless pit, okay? The Most High basically threw them, threw them into that bottomless pit, and they became nothing less than cave beasts, okay? Because, because of the deception that they had put on the whole, that they had put on the whole earth when they came into rulership as the Roman Empire. And look no further than its current Edomite rulership to see what kinds of deception they used. All right, they and even from it, and you can read about it in the book of First Maccabees. Going back to the book of First Maccabees, how they wanted to change the images of the men of our forefathers, the men that were written up in the scriptures. Okay, they wanted to change the times and the laws that were written up in the scriptures. I wanted to promote wickedness. If you go into all the customs and of Rome and the customs of Rome and the gods of Rome and the practices of Rome, you see how wicked and evil that they were. They wanted to completely. They want to completely turn the whole earth upside down, and now they've been able to accomplish that in this rulership. But see, I just wanted to go into that a little bit, the Dark Ages, and Slack, I wasn't able to get any images showing you, because I thought I had those had those books, but Slack, I don't have those books. Basically going into the black nobility, basically going into Jake ruling during that period. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Barasham, Yahweh Shai, Barasham Rachak Wadash, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom.